What is going on, guys? PXCam20 back in with a brand new video. Today we are at Tokyo Expressway, the outer loop, as we are doing our daily race A in the Toyota 86 GT. Now, when coming to this race, came into a little bit of an issue here. As you're gonna see right now, this is kind of an interesting race. I've never raced anything like this on GT Sport, even though I've only been playing for like 6 months. But when coming to this race, I was really confused, especially when I was trying to do a time trial. As you're gonna see an actual dramatization of what I was actually doing when I came to set up this car for the race. So while I was coming into my time trials here, I came down to the tires to change the tires, and you can see right here that hards are the only thing that you could select, as I'm trying to go through heavy and intermediate racing tires, but I couldn't select all of them, so you just see me fumbling around trying to click every single thing. I thought it was a glitch that I was having, and I honestly was starting to get a little frustrated because I was like, oh man, GT Sport is just screwing up again. But that's the way that the race was. Once I looked over the rules, you basically are racing on slicks for this wet race. So it's going to be a really interesting race, really challenging race, as we're going to head into here with the unknown. Basically, this is going to be my very first race. Now, before we jump into the race, if you guys haven't yet, we're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. So if you guys really enjoy the content, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video, as it really helps out the channel when you guys do so. And that's enough promoting myself. Let's jump straight into the race. So coming into this race right here, you see that we are starting on a 2-minute 50.2 second lap, as there are supposed to be 12 cars here, but I think one of them lagged out or just left the race, as we are starting in 7th place for this first race now. So coming to the line here, we're getting our 3, 2, 1. We're going to get a start here as we try to put our traction control to number 1, as that's going to be the best way to get a launch off of here. We're able to do so in time as we cross the start finish line. We're right behind 5th position, so we're just going to follow him on the slipstream heading down this very long straightaway. That's basically the gist of East Outer Loop. It's just one straightaway connected by a whole mess of turns, and then a very horrible hairpin at the very end of the lap as we coming down the straightaway. So coming down the straightaway now, you see we're actually getting a toe now from 4th place. So we're going to try to make a move onto the inside below this black Toyota, but he tries to cover us very late, so we got to make a move onto the outside there, swerving left and right, as we're also trying to see the car behind us, see if we could brake right before the 150 meter board and make sure we don't run into the cars ahead of us. The black Toyota already is making contact, because 2 cars already get knocked out to the left. They're both actually Tokyo drifting in Tokyo. Oh, the irony there as we head into turn number 2. We're sandwiched in between 2 cars there. As you can see, 4th gets slammed into the wall. We make a wreck avoidance challenge right there, and we're able to get through that unscathed as we are heading down the straightaway, leading us into the very first part of the S's here. So coming to the beginning of the S's, we're coming to the left-handers. You can see 3rd place has a time penalty, so we should be able to catch up to him and be able to pass him on the straightaway that leads us into the penalty zone. As we are coming into this braking zone here, brake right before the 100 meter board, heading to the left and to the right. You see 3rd and 4th are making contact now as they're fighting side by side there. 4th actually loses a little bit of momentum, so we're going to try to see where we can go, try to overtake him on the outside there as we're heading into this long right-hander right behind the white Toyota ahead of us. But we got to back out of there and allow 4th place to get ahead of us, as he had the better turn in going into that turn. So heading to the left-hander now, you see we're starting to get pressure from behind as we fast forward here, and we're going to try to stay right behind 4th place as we head into the penalty zone, so we can just overtake him on the penalty zone. He serves his penalty right here as we try to go into the inside, brake right before the 150 meter board, and you can see that we are trying to pinch the inside, but you can see right there someone spinning out, and 4th place casually spins out right in front of us as he almost hits us and takes us out as we come into the end of the hairpin there. So coming out of the hairpin, we're just trying to get onto the throttle as fast as we can so we could try to gain some time on 3rd place, but we are unable to do so. So jumping into the middle of lap number 2 here, we're coming out of this left-hander here as we're going up the hill, heading into this right-hander, left-hander, brake right before the 50 meter board, try to avoid making contact with the walls. We almost do right there, and head to the left-hander here as we're trying to just catch up to the 3rd place car. And coming down the straightaway now, we're going to try to see if we could brake as late as we can, try to get a good exit coming down the hairpin, as he can make a ton of times. You see we're actually getting pressure from behind. Not sure where he came from. I just didn't really see him on the map. As we're coming to the hairpin now, braking as late as we can, allowing the inside car to try to make a move on the inside so we could get a cutback. As you see, 3rd place actually goes very wide coming out of the hairpin. And this is very crucial right here as we try to get back onto the throttle without spinning out. and we lose a little bit of grip coming out of that turn, as the hard tires are just not gripping with the asphalt as we come out of the turn now, heading down into the straightaway. So coming down the straightaway, we get into the slipstream of 4th place. Stay right behind him as we come down the straightaway and see if we could try to pull us into closer to him as we head down the straightaway, leading us into turn number 1. Coming down the straightaway, we're still right behind him. Get very, very close to him, get a really good run. Heading into turn number 1, we try to brake right before the 150 meter board. And I'm just trying to stay as careful and cautious as I can as we are now on the outside of him, heading out of turn number 1. And we just give him the spot there because I did not want to get pushed into the wall, cause a 5-second penalty. As that's one thing that you have to remember, is that if you hit that wall, you get a 5-second penalty if you hit it at a really fast pace. So that's one thing I wanted to avoid, especially with these cars. It's just try to make contact and accidentally getting punted into the wall as we now come into the S's section of the track. Coming down to this left-hander here, we're going to head into this long right-hander. This is going to be our very first braking point for this S's. You see we're still right behind 4th as he's actually giving us a pretty good tow. Heading to the left-hander, we brake very, very early, but we're getting a little loose as we come out of that left-hander. Able to catch it there, as we're now going to head into these 2 right-handers that are very, very fast. Try to brake right before the tunnel right there. Gently ease into the brakes there as we come out of there. We're still right behind 4th place, as we hopefully are going to be able to stay right behind him coming out of this left-hander so we can get an overtake on the hairpin. But we actually go a little bit wide, and we make contact with the wall, and we get a 5-second penalty. But you see the white Toyota ahead of us actually clips the wall too, so he's getting slowed down. It's just very unfortunate for us. As you can see, he's still hitting the wall, so we're right behind him, but we still have to serve that 5-second penalty as we come down the straightaway, leading us into the hairpin. Heading down into the straightaway, that's going to lead us into the penalty zone. We're in the slipstream now of 4th place, and we pull out of here to try to get out of the way of people while we serve our penalty now. Serving our penalty, we see right behind us, this is a Brazilian catching up to us as we stay into the inside, try to brake as late as we can. And us and the Brazilian go side by side as we're losing grip into the corner there, as we're going to try to get a good exit here as we try to get back onto the throttle as fast as we can. And the Brazilian and I are now going to have a drag race as we come down into the straightaway. But you see the Brazilian has better momentum than us. So at this point, I just thought to myself, might as well just get into the slipstream, try to get a good tow, and hopefully try to drag race our way to 5th place. As we're coming down to the final time down the straightaway into the start finish line, we're getting a good run to the inside. We're making contact with the Brazilian, but the car behind us is actually getting a good tow on us, and we're going to go 3 wide as we come down to the line. Who's going to get it? The American gets it, and we get 6th place as we are unable to win that drag race, as American got a good tow from us and the Brazilian, and he was able to finish ahead of us in 5th place as we were able to come home in 6th place. So a very entertaining race, very interesting race, as we were able to kind of get some data on how to run this race now as we're running into our 2nd race. We're going to put down the brake bias 2-0 to try to get a little bit more cornering into the corners now as we get into the straightaway now, leading us into turn number 1. Going right behind the slipstream of the white car right ahead of us. We're in the slipstream of him. So we're going to try to get a good entrance going into turn number 1. Brake very, very early so we don't run to the back of anybody. But you can see 5th place actually goes down a little bit, scares 6th place, and we make contact with him. And we actually spin him out, but we're getting hit from behind too. We get it off the wall. And unfortunate for the silver car ahead of us, he actually gets spun out. And that was kind of our own doing, but it just kind of happened right there. So I think it was a racing incident, but I mean, you guys tell me what you guys think in the comment below. But as we come out of turn number 2, we lose 2 position now. We are demoted all the way into 9th place as we start making our way into the S's again. Right behind the orange Canadian. You see he's fighting with 7th there, so he's trying to get close to him, heading into his right-hander here. 7 takes a very, very wide entrance into that corner, which is going to allow the Canadian to kind of catch up to him as we come to our first braking point into the S's. We actually brake very, very late, almost hit the walls. We're getting very, very loose. Hit the wall right there. Oh, do we get a 5-second penalty? We actually don't, but you see 7th place? I believe that 7th place gets a 5-second penalty, or he actually gets a penalty. I don't know how many seconds he got, but as we come into this right-hander here, we're going to just try to do our best as we can to try to catch up to him so we could take advantage of him having to serve his penalty as we come out of the left-hander. Heading down to the straightaway here, going to serve his penalty. Let's see how much we could gain on him as we come down the straightaway, heading to the hairpin. We brake very, very late. And you can see that we're gaining on him as we come into a corner. He actually goes very, very wide, but we also go wide too. We make contact with him accidentally, and we spin him out as we are now turning into a torpedo here, as we've already taken out 2 cars in just 1 lap here. So yeah, kind of misfortunate there, as we are just taking people out left and right. So we're going to try to settle down here as we come down into lap number 2 here. Going down the straightaway, trying to get into the slipstream of 7th place. We're going to try to catch up to him and try to make a clean move, not a torpedo move like Kvyat there, as we're heading to turn number 1. We're getting a little bit of time on the Canadian ahead of us, as we're trying to catch up to him coming into turn number 2. Coming into turn number 2, you see that there's 3 cars ahead of us fighting with each other, so hopefully they can slow each other down as we head down to the straightaway, leading us into the S's. We're still right behind him as we head into our very first corner, leading us into the S's. Try to get the left entrance as best as we can. We clip it next to the wall there. Try to stay on the gas throughout these 2 corners as we're going to head into our very first braking point for the beginning of the S's there. Brake right after the 100-meter board. You see they're still fighting with each other as we come out of this corner, but we actually get it wrong there, as we have to let go of the gas. If not, we would have hit the wall again 2 laps in a row. So we lose time on them as we head into the end of lap number 2. So coming to the end of lap number 2, someone actually has a penalty, so we're getting on them again. Let's see if we could try to get around them without making contact with him into the hairpin, just like we did to the other car on the last lap. We get into it pretty cleanly as we almost make contact with him, but 6th place actually spins out on his own doing as he loses traction coming out of the hairpin. And we're able to make an overtake there, as now we are back in 7th place. So hopefully we can try to get into the slipstream with this white Toyota ahead of us and try to make an overtake on him before we get into turn number 1. Coming down the straightaway now, we're fast forwarding here as we're on the final lap again. Staying right behind the 6th place car as he's actually gaining time on us, which I don't understand how, but he outbrakes himself there as he tries to make an overtake on the Canadian. Heading straight into the wall, he goes straight into the wall, and that's going to allow us to catch up to him as we head into turn number 2. So coming into turn number 2, we're right behind the white Toyota and the orange Toyota. We're going to try to stay right behind them as we come into the beginning part of the S's here, staying right in the slipstream, as we're going to have to most likely let go of the throttle as we come into the beginning part of the S's. As I think with the slipstream, it's very, very difficult to try to get this on full throttle. As you can see right there, we're letting go of the throttle a little bit so we can get a good entrance, clip our apexes here as we're heading to the turn where we have to brake now. Coming right before the 100-meter board, you see they're almost going side by side ahead of us. We try to brake as early as we can, and the white car is actually just trying to move left and right, trying to find any way to try to get around the Canadian as he almost loses it coming out of that corner there. Gets very, very loose, loses traction. So we're going to try and make a move onto the inside. Now 2 cars going into this turn. What's going to happen here? We actually make a little bit of contact with him. He hits the wall. We try to make a move onto the outside there as we try to brake right before the 50-meter board. We let him go through because I felt bad for running into the back of him, heading into that corner. I don't want to be known as a torpedo the rest of the race, so we let him go ahead of us as we head into this right-hander here. Brake right before the 50-meter board. Try to get a good entrance here. So he actually goes very, very wide, hits the wall. Scares us because I thought he was going to ricochet back into us, but you see he's got his hazard lights on, and he just decides to rage quit, so I don't blame him. Especially when you're coming down to the final lap, you got 1 second penalty, you know you're going to get past. But coming to the hairpin now, you see 5th place actually gets a really bad entrance there as we're trying to maximize this, as this is the longest corner in my life. As you can see, 5th place actually gets very, very loose there coming out of the hairpin. We're catching up to him, and we're in the slipstream now, so hopefully the tow can bring us up a little bit. As you can see, we have such a huge head of steam coming down the straightaway as the momentum is carrying us, and the slipstream as we're going to move onto the inside. Coming to the inside now, it's going to be a drag race again, heading into the line. We're able to overtake him now as we are now about a car length ahead of him. He gets into the slipstream of us. Is he going to try to get a momentum to overtake us back, heading down to the line? We get 5th place, so a better finish than last place by 1 position, but we get 5th place. Very, very exciting race. Very interesting race. I love races like this. I mean, it's just so crazy and so chaotic that it's just fun to deal with. But what do you guys think about this race? Have you guys actually ran this race? If you guys have, comment down below what you guys thought about running this race, because like I said, it's fun for me, but I don't think I could do this every single day. It's just really, really difficult, especially with the first lap heading to turn number 1. I feel like a lot of cars just miss the breaking points, and it's just a lot of chaos heading into turn number 1. But anyways, if you guys really enjoy the content, again, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the videos. It really helps out the channel, and I hope to see you guys on the next one. Peace.